right, so anyway, that's a really brief explanation.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Susie. Good.
call to order the Dickinson City Commission meeting for May 4th, 2021. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. First item up is the order of business. Mr. Winningham, are there any changes to the order of business?
Mr. President and Commissioners, there are no changes to the agenda or order of business for this May the 4th be with you evening.
There are no changes. Are there any questions for Mr. Winningham on the order of business?
Mr. President, I'll move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Moving into the consent agenda, are there any items on the consent agenda that commissioners wish to discuss? Hearing no questions or discussion on the consent agenda, I'd look for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Walla, second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further discussion, questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, will vote. Ms. Walla,
Aye.
Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move into administration and finance. And we have a few proclamations this evening. So, first item up, we have Lemonade Day proclamation. And do we have some representatives from Lemonade Day here? Anyone? Okay. Seeing no one, I'll go right into the proclamation. City of Dickinson, North Dakota proclamation for Lemonade Day in Dickinson, North Dakota. Dickinson President Scott Decker will proclaim June 19th, 2021 Lemonade Day in Dickinson. Youth throughout the community are expected to participate by setting up their Lemonade Day stands across the city. Lemonade Day is a free community-wide program that introduces youth to entrepreneurship by teaching them how to start and operate their own lemonade stand. After youth have completed the Lemonade Day curriculum, they are prepared for the real-world experience of owning their own lemonade business. Youth are encouraged to spend some, save some, and share some of their profit by giving back to the community that has supported them. On Lemonade Day, everyone has an important role to play in supporting our youth. Whether you're mentoring a youth, hosting a stand, or purchasing lemonade, the entire community can be involved in supporting our young entrepreneurs. I, President Scott Decker, proclaim June 19th, 2021, Lemonade Day in Dickinson. So, commissioners, I'd like to hear a motion to verify this proclamation.
I'd move to approve the Lemonade Day proclamation.
I have a motion to approve the Lemonade Day proclamation by Commissioner Sobeluk.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oderman. All in favor of approving this proclamation, state aye.
Aye.
Down to Mr. Winningham. Our next proclamation is Public Works Week. And Mr. Zuroff, do you have any comments before I read the proclamation on Public Works Week?
Yes, President Decker and Commission. This is an annual Public Works Week, May 16th through May 23rd. Public Works operators and individuals and provide services for the community. This week, we don't have a lot of public participation. We are attending the Touch a Truck, which is a local event for 15th, with 4 vehicles, and have some goodies and trinkets for kids to come, so we're participating in that, and then we will have an employee appreciation on May 20th in the afternoon. So that's how we're participating this week.
Good deal. I'm hoping that the Touch a Truck thing is a big deal. I know I've lived in other communities and the Touch a Truck was big, and when I lived on Fort Benning, it was Touch a Tank. So kids got a little more excited for that.
We're
Tanks
excited.
and-
We're going to
yeah.
bring a big snowplow truck, a lumber grader, a recycling truck, and then our new television cameras to the event. So we're
And I think police and fire are both participating also, so it should be a pretty good day for the community, so. We'll jump right into National Public Works Week proclamation. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Dickinson. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Dickinson to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Scott Decker, President, do hereby designate the week of May 16th, from May 16th through May 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with the representatives of American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. And I would look for a motion approving this proclamation.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Frederick to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Walla. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
We'll continue. Our next proclamation is National Drinking Water Week, and we do have some representatives from our Southwest Water. Does anyone from Southwest Water wish to state anything?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mary Mousid, Southwest Water Authority. I'm pleased to be here with all of you today, and thank you for using some of the best drinking water anywhere in the world. We all know how important and vital drinking water is. This is National Drinking Water Week. AWWA, American Water Works, as well as other entities such as Southwest Water Authority, do recognize this as an opportunity for us to say thank you to our employees. Thank you to our board members. Your board members are here today, both Larry Bars and Jason Benz. They represent the City of Dickinson on our board of directors. You know, it's award-winning. We've won international awards on drinking water quality and taste, and we're just here to serve and pleased to be with you today. So thank you, and thanks for the proclamation, and celebrate by lifting a glass of good quality drinking water. So drink out of the tap, not the bottle.
Good idea.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. We will proceed with this proclamation. The City of Dickinson, North Dakota proclamation. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas water from Southwest Pipeline Project and the Southwest Water Authority delivers public health protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates, economic growth and diversity, productivity, and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water. And whereas Southwest Water Authority and the Southwest Pipeline Project play a critical part in the consumer's health, hygiene, and hydration, and public awareness of the importance of safe tap water is essential to supporting and sustaining this resource. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend. And whereas each citizen of our city and all of Southwest North Dakota is called upon to help sustain our water resources by educating themselves about their drinking water, by practicing water conservation, and getting involved in local efforts to protect our sources of water from pollution. And the Southwest Pipeline Project and the Southwest Water Authority further promote there when you need it. Now therefore, be it resolved that by the virtue of the authority vested in me as president of our city, I do hereby proclaim May 2nd through the 8th, 2021 as Drinking Water Week. And I would look for a motion on this proclamation.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second?
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
And our last proclamation of the evening, and this is Building Safety Month. And do we have anybody from the city that has any comments about Building Safety Month? No one? I'll move into the proclamation. City of Dickinson, North Dakota Proclamation, Building Safety Month, May 2021. Whereas the City of Dickinson is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depend on safety and economic values of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of disaster. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are experts in the building environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, play. And whereas our nation benefits economically and technologically from using the international codes that are developed by a national voluntary consensus codes and standards developing organization. Our government is able to avoid the high cost and complexity of developing and maintaining these codes, which are the most widely adopted building safety and prevention codes in the world. Whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safety, sustainable, energy efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. And whereas prevent, prepare, protect, building codes save, the theme for the Building Safety Month 2021 encourages all Americans to raise awareness about the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, energy conservation, water safety, training the next generation, and new technologies in the construction industry. Whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the communities, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Scott Decker, President of the City of Dickinson, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage all citizens to join with their communities in participating in Building Safety Month activities. I'd look for a motion on this proclamation.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Frederick to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Oderman. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Mr. President, do you need a drink after all the proclamations?
I need something.
We're gonna need a 5-minute recess.
But you know what? I timed it out perfectly. It is public hearing, or it is the public hearing, public comments portion this evening, and it starts at 4:45. So, first item up, City Administrator Whittingham, we have some employee appreciations.
President and Commissioners, I'm yielding the floor right now to Police Chief Dustin Dossier.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. The Dickens Police Department would like to recognize several employees that have gone the extra step with departmental community relations by spearheading, organizing police-related community events. As I call their name out, I would like them to step forward, please. First one's going to be Administrative Assistant Darnell Malkowski. Darnell Malkowski earned this recognition by exceptionally performing her duties as an administrative assistant while going the extra step in department community relations by spearheading community police events. Your dedication to the Daddy-Daughter Dance brings great credit upon you, your teammates, and the City of Dickinson. This time I'd like to thank Darnell Malkowski for her hard work. I believe the Daddy-Daughter Dance went on year 12 or 13, is that correct? Year 12 this year, and it's been started out as a one-evening event and extended into a two-evening event several years ago. So this is a well-attended event within our community, and we certainly appreciate Darnell's hard work in organizing this event every year.
Thank you.
This time I'd like to ask Investigative Sergeant Kylan Klauser to step forward, please. Kylan Klauser earned this recognition by exceptionally performing his duties as an investigative sergeant while going the extra step in departmental community relations by spearheading community police events. Your dedication to the Heroes Ball brings great credit upon you, your teammates, and the City of Dickinson. We greatly appreciate all the hard work that Investigative Sergeant Klauser has done with the Heroes Ball. We had some challenges with COVID over the last couple of years, but this event continues to grow, and his dedication and hard work to this event definitely shines professionally, not only on him, but also the Dickinson Police Department. And I'd like to thank Kylan for his hard work with this event. This time I'd like to ask Senior Officer Chad Hoppinen to step forward. Chad Hoppinen earned this recognition by exceptionally performing his duties as a senior officer, while going the extra step in departmental community relations by spearheading community police events. Your dedication to the Skate with the Cop greatly credits upon you, your teammates, and the City of Dickinson. The Skate with the Cop was in its second year this year. It's another event that has greatly grown within our community and gets excellent community response. And I'd like to thank Chad for all his hard work and dedication to organizing this event. At this time, I'd like to ask Records Clerk Brandy Aaron to step forward, please. Brandy Aaron has earned this recognition by exceptionally performing her duties as a records clerk while going the extra step in departmental community relations by spearheading community police events. Your dedication to the Daddy-Daughter Dance and the Heroes Ball brings great credit upon you, your teammates, and the City of Dickinson. I would like to personally thank Brandy for all her hard work for both of these events. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
And thank you all. I mean, as a city, we really appreciate all your hard work. I mean, it's above and beyond what is expected, but we really appreciate it. So thank you so much. All right, we have a little bit of time before our 5 o'clock public hearing. So we'll move into item B, which is the Chapter 2 Ordinance Amendment, and this will be handled by Museum Director Furman.
Mr. President, Commissioners, tonight I'm coming before you for the Historic Preservation Commission, asking to consider amendments to the ordinance number or I should say Article 2.45 of the City Code, which covers the Historic Preservation Commission. These amendments are the result of a review of the ordinance by that commission and consist of a short list of minor changes shown in red in the Historic Preservation Ordinance Update version 003, which was included in your packets. A brief summary of these changes are as follows. 1, a statement that the Historic Preservation Commission's purpose would henceforth include the promotion, encouragement of National Register participation, that is, to encourage the recognition of eligible sites or properties to be nominated to the National Register of Historic Places. 2, setting the commission size at 5 to 7 members. 3, the addition of a demonstrated formal knowledge of planning as one of several desirable skill sets set for potential members of the HPC to possess. 4, the addition of the NDSU Extension Services as one of several institutions the HPC should include in its solicitations for HPC commissioner candidates when vacancies occur on the commission. And the last is the establishment of a set time frame for the submission of minutes of the HPC to the North Dakota State Historic Preservation Office. These changes were reviewed both by the city attorney and also approved by the State Historic Preservation Office, which gives us the outline and such of the ordinance, which is based on National Park Service ordinance for certified local government. I'm going to close just by noting I believe this is the first formal review of the ordinance since Dickinson qualified as a certified local government in November of 2003. And although the changes seem minor, I believe the process of review has proved valuable in terms of making the Historic Preservation Commissioners completely familiar with the ordinance under which HPC functions.
Thank you, Mr. Furman. Any questions for Mr. Furman on this ordinance amendment? And this would be 1716. So if you have any questions, commissioners, on 1716?
Mr. President.
Mr.
Mr. Furman, I really appreciate what you said there at the end there, because maybe other commissioners are doing this, but I'm not spending my free time going through every single ordinance that the city has. So it's nice to have somebody like you that's going through here and updating these as necessary. So
I appreciate that. I also would like to acknowledge the chairman of HPC, Steve Josephson. Really, it was Steve's idea that we undertake the review. And I think it's just important, even me as this city's historic preservationist, it's been 3 years since I really sat down and read it, so it's never a bad thing to look at the stuff we have to work under. I appreciate you recognizing it.
well, when it's put in front of us like this, it's educational, because like you said, now I understand how it all works. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments for Mr. Furman? This is the first reading. There'll be a public hearing on the second reading. So if there are no further questions, I'd look for a motion on ordinance 1716.
I'd move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Walla. Any further discussion, questions on ordinance 1716? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman,
Aye.
Ms. Walla,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item up, we have a job description, environmental compliance specialist, and this will be handled by our HR coordinator, Nominuk.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. This environmental compliance specialist position is a new position for the Public Works Department. A while back, we had looked at creating an environmental pre-treatment coordinator position. We did advertise for the position and did not have a lot of luck filling the position. So that kind of sparked Director Zuroff's into looking a little bit further and doing a little more research in the needs of the departments and the need for this position. With this, he came up with the environmental compliance specialist. This position will be a little bit more than what we were looking for in the pretreatment coordinator, in that it will direct, plan, develop, implement and coordinate services, programs, and environmental activities, all related to stormwater compliance, industrial and commercial wastewater compliance, water quality compliance, air quality compliance, recycling and conservation programs. Will coordinate assigned activities with other city departments, Public Works Department, and act as a project manager on assigned projects. After reviewing the position, this position will be exempt and will be placed in grade 17 in the new pay plan. And we are asking for commission approval. If there's any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Nominick. Any questions on this position? We're asking a lot of one person here. We're having issues finding somebody for just the water. Now we're gonna tack on a multitude of other tasks also. I'm just hoping that we haven't maybe set this one up for failure, but to that point too, now the position we advertised for that we couldn't fill, that position's gonna go away and
Correct.
rolled into this.
Correct.
Are any additional positions going away?
Yes, President, we had three positions, well, currently, facilities manager, the chief of the water and facility, the industrial treatment. The chief of the water reclamation facility, right now, we're going to provide work that we're not going to fill that chief position. We're trying to have another operator right there that we can save, not have it. One of the ideas to incorporate this was keep it the plant facilities manager with a lot of compliance on the water and wastewater side. Also in year 2023, we have incorporated our industrial treatment program, which is quite a program, $25,000 more. State says we are, plus our industrial users like refining, we have to include that with the additional EMR requirement for our wastewater. So looking more than just an industrial pre-treatment coordinator, a lot of cities are hiring environmental compliance coordinators because of all these additional compliance programs that are required. So that's why we put all on positions similar to a number of adjacent cities, career service area. That's addressed. So right now, we're not going to fill the chief position. The environmental pre-treatment environmental industrial pre-treatment coordinator will go away. We won't have this position. We have an interim utilities manager. Still looking at trying to do as much as we can in-house with planning. So that's the reason for this position, to try to cover the areas that we seem to be needing help right now.
And I know Mrs. Carlson's not here this evening. Impact budget-wise?
We budgeted for all those positions. There will be a reduction basically budget.
Okay. So you don't plan to advertise any of the other, the still existing
Chief
positions?
is not going to be advertised.
Okay.
Actually eliminate that right now. Pre-industrial will be eliminated, and we're not going to advertise right now.
Mr. President?
Mr. Oderman?
Mr. Zuroff, do you think that you'll have a good pool of candidates for this position? And do you share the concerns that Mr. Decker has in regards to this being a lot to ask of one person?
I guess that's why it's strictly the compliance specialist, a lot of it for outreach and multiple programs. We do have some qualified candidates now. But I think we're still candidate position. So I think that that's all they're working on. We feel right now, our
Mr. President, it's now 5 o'clock, but I have some comments to follow up with Mr. Zuroff. I understand his intent, but there's a larger intent for this position.
We can finish this up and we'll jump into the 5 o'clock. So if you have some comments on the position or no?
But I do. So the intent of this position was not just to collapse one environmental treatment coordinator. We're struggling across the board with the ability to maintain some skill sets. Primarily right now, it's because the unemployment rate is $22.50 per hour. That we compete with all those that are staying under unemployment. Most of our jobs do not reach $22.50 per hour. This is one of those positions where we're asking for a higher level skill set, 4-year degree that has 2 years worth of environmental specialists. And essentially, yes, it's the city's requirement. Right now, we're covering that through a contract. We want to reduce that contract and then hire somebody that's willing to come to the city. They're probably out there. We are going to fly the position so I can have a full interview, and I'm hope to be pleasantly surprised by the applicants that we get. If there is somebody internal, and we'll make a decision as we move forward if they are qualified. But the intent is to fly this position and try to see who may be out there in the industry. It is a struggle with most municipalities when you're dealing with stormwater sewer systems because of federal acts, because of the way that they mandate to states and states mandate to us on how we got to comply. So it is a full-time position, but I think a person who is ready to do environmental specialist types positions, it's pretty much game on for that type of a person, and that's who we're looking for. Somebody who enjoys reading the Federal Clean Water Act, who enjoys reading DEQ site with North Dakota, and enjoys essentially keeping us compliant with all those rules and laws.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Winningham. Any further questions? Hearing no questions or comments, I'd look for a motion on this to either approve or deny this environmental compliance specialist.
Mr. President, I would make a motion to approve the job description as presented.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll jump to our 5 o'clock timetable, and this evening we have Tri-Energy Cooperative, CEO Denley Venice.
Well, thank you for allowing me the time to speak to the council today. I certainly appreciate it, and I will endeavor not to test your patience, because I've got a feeling what I'm about to ask about has been a previous issue that's been brought up. So please forgive me. I'm new to our company, and right now we've got a location on Museum Drive that's undergoing renovations, and one of the things that is being discussed right now is whether to add additional cooler space. And from what I understand, the alcoholic beverage license for commercial off-sale may be restrictive toward a convenience store environment. And I was hoping to get some clarity on that today. I had reached out to the city administrator and assistant administrator to try to get a feel for what the considerations are and what to expect with an application so that we can complete construction at the location. But more than anything else, I should say that there's a lot of misinformation, or maybe you could call them alternative facts, at my company about what's possible and what's not under consideration at this time. So I was hoping that if this is an issue that the city council is familiar with, you might be able to shed a little bit of light.
Currently, we don't allow liquor sales in convenience stores.
Okay. No, that's helpful. I think the way the assistant administrator put it is that there's not a current designation for it, but it sounds like it's restrictive in your guys' ordinances then.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Do you expect this is something that'll be up for consideration at any time?
I think if it was brought by a group of individuals, I've been on the commission for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been brought forth 3 times to change our liquor ordinance.
Okay.
So, but the face of the commission has changed since I've been here in 6 years, so completely changed. I'm the oldest one now, so before that was not the case. So I think there is an interest by convenience stores within the city to once again approach the commission and staff to see if it's something we would like to look at again. So I'm not going to say that it's not. My personal opinion, I'm always up for discussion, and it usually turns into a very vigorous discussion amongst business owners and license holders. So I wouldn't say that it's not something that, but you know, there's 4 other commissioners besides myself. So
I can imagine it's a contentious issue, so I appreciate you making the time today to provide a little bit of background on it. If it was brought up to for discussion at a subsequent meeting, is there a proper channel to go through to make a proposal that way?
I think contacting Mr. Winningham to set up a meeting to discuss, you know, what you would want in your facility. I mean, everybody has different ideas, and we've in the past we've entertained just beer wine license for convenience stores. That didn't go very far, but there wasn't a whole lot of. Commissioner Frederick, you can maybe refresh. The last time we had that, there was 3 stores, 4 stores, convenience stores that were looking at that time.
I think it was, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the bulk of them were here. I think we had, like I said, 3 or 4 looking to do what you had in mind, but it was just a beer. I think it was beer and wine at that time. It wasn't anything else. There's no hard liquor.
You know, we've talked about this on many occasions, and extra distribution points for alcohol sales we have a lot of liquor stores for a town this size already, so I don't think it's been seen as very favorable. At least I haven't seen it as hugely favorable from the feedback I've got, so it's going to be, you're going to get some pushback, obviously, so.
Sounds like an uphill battle. Okay, well, that's great. I appreciate the history and the disposition on it, both. I'll talk to Brian about it a little bit over the course of the next month, and if it seems like something that is going to be a good use of the council's time, then we'll pursue, and if not, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Neer, I'd just like to make some comments, because I apologize we didn't get a chance to have a lot more conversations on this. Our code currently is under review, as with all of our ordinances when we adopt into the municipal code. They're always under review. Essentially, that's our duty to make sure that those ordinances fit what's happening out in the public. And so we are business friendly, and we also want to make sure that when we do look at the alcoholic beverage part of our code, you can review that. You go to our website, you can pull that alcoholic beverage portion of our municipal code, and it details and essentially adds what we're supposed to do and not do with alcoholic beverages. We are capped right now with population based on our current code. If the census numbers do come out in the next month or so, and it shows that we have an explosive, bloom in the population, then every 3,000 members of our population, then we can look at doing larger licenses for that category. There's also an intent as a staff study to figure out if we wanted to add a class. That's essentially what you're asking for, is a on-off sale of a different class, beer or wine. And that's what we talked about, or email. That's essentially what I'm trying to convey, that we would have to change the class for what you were looking for at the convenience store. So it's no small matter, because it's a change in the ordinance. It's a public then notice and a reading. So it's not just the commission making an arbitrary decision. It is a process for us that may help you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll jump back in non-timetable items, and first item up, we have a report, and that is going to be presented by Julie Obergewich and Sheriff Corey Lee, and it is Stark County Spirit of Excellence. Sheriff Lee doesn't look too excited to come up.
I don't think he's going to come up. No, that's okay.
I just roped him in that. I'm just reading here, so.
No,
yeah.
and that's how it was initially, but it's fine. He's fine back there. I got this. Good afternoon, Mayor Decker and fellow other commissioners. My name is Julie Obergewich, and a little history on the Stark County Spirit of Excellence Award. So I started this program earlier this year. I found that there was a need for positivity in the county, not just Dickinson, but I also wanted to focus on the great people within the county. You know, there's not just good people in Dickinson. There's a lot of other good people that do phenomenal things in the surrounding towns as well. So it was important for me to focus on including them in this program. So the Stark County Spirit of Excellence Award is given out every other month to deserving individuals in the categories of leadership, customer service, innovation, stewardship, and also Good Samaritan, random acts of kindness that can be nominated by anyone within the state, just as long as a person lives within Stark County. And the mayors of the county, including Mayor Decker, which I'm very appreciative of, are the awards team. And quite honestly, this couldn't happen without the incredible support of the mayor. So I do thank you for that. So earlier this week, we did present an award to Jane Ketterling here of Dickinson. She is the second recipient of the Stark County Spirit of Excellence Award. The photo up there depicts what she really just a mere example of what she collected. There's so much more that I'm sure the photo doesn't even show. This was the nomination that the mayors based their decision off of, and there were 28 nominations, by the way. When we heard that the Amen Food Pantry was almost empty, Jane sprang into action. Within 2 days, she had set up a pre-Christmas food drive. She pulled out all the stops and asked other businesses and individuals to pitch in. In less than a week, Jane was able to collect over 11,000 pounds of food, toiletries, cash, and gift cards just in time for Christmas. Anytime she hears about someone in need, whether it's an employee or someone in the community, she doesn't stop until they are more than good. She literally performs miracles. I was honestly blown away with how much she was able to collect in such a short time. She did whatever it took by going to pick up donations, shopping for people who wanted to donate but didn't want to go out due to COVID, and being sure to purchase items the food pantry asked for. Thanks to her, we will now make this an annual tradition. Hopefully it gets bigger and better every year. That's an amazing contribution, and especially at Christmas time when items are needed most. She really took the bull by the horns and stepped up and helped out, again, not only people within our community, but the county as a whole. So it was really amazing. Not only did she receive a very nice plaque, but also she received about $500 in donations from area businesses within the county. When I started this program, it was important for me to include area businesses to kind of inspire the Shop Local feature as well. So a lot of businesses have chipped in, and we've had really great support, again, not only from the mayors, also from the many businesses within Stark County, and the Sheriff's Office has been very invaluable to this program as well, so I do thank them. Our next award will be in June, and we've already received about 4 new nominations, and they're awesome. I'm the only one that sees them prior to the mayor seeing them. I remove all the names. It is not a popularity contest. That is the furthest thing that I wanted with this program. They base their decision based off of the acts done by these individuals, which it should be. And so it's really nice to highlight, again, the people of Stark County. We have a lot of great people here, and I'm happy to be part of this program and get to come up and recognize them. So that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. And like Julie says, you know, we start with 28, and I think there was 13. We whittled it down to 13 that morning. Yep. And then we had to go from 13 to 3. 13 to 3. And I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's so many deserving people. Mm-hmm. And it really is a great thing that, you know, you guys have set up through Stark County Sheriff and getting everybody together. There's a lot of deserving people out there. It's tough when you get down to those final 3. I mean, it's tough even with 13.
Yeah, and the cool thing too is that it keeps growing, because anyone who isn't selected for 1 month gets carried over into the next upcoming month as well. So the batch is getting, it's going to get harder for you.
Yeah. And the amount of items donated from all the businesses. It really is amazing. I mean, so just to show their appreciation for these individuals.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
And you too, Sheriff Lee. So we'll move into our 5:15, and that'll be handled by Planning Director Hadley. We have a public hearing on a PUD plan unit development for the Patterson Lake area.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commission. This item would be the first reading of Ordinance 717, and it's actually a public hearing. It was heard at our April 21st meeting at the Planning Commission. There was no one in opposition to it. The Planning Commission and staff would recommend approval. I believe Mr. Kramer is here. This project has been going on for a number of years. The PUDs are being put in place, so it legitimizes the development that's been out there and allows people to purchase those properties and move forward. So with that, it is a public hearing. Staff and the Planning Commission would recommend approval of the first reading. And please. The first two items are the same. They're just disjointed because they're not adjacent to each other. There's a separation. So
And this is 1717.
it is, sir.
1717, ordinance 1717. Any questions for Mr. Hadley before he steps down? Or Mr. Kramer, he's in the audience. Like Mr. Hadley said, this has been going on, and Mr. Kramer, you can, 2, 3, I know I've maybe 4 years in the process. It has been a process. And when the federal government's involved, it always is a process. So, but I'm glad we're getting to this phase. Any questions for Mr.
I do have one question. Is this development, this is where houses currently are today, it's just transferring it over, it's not like a new development out at the lake, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's
thank
correct.
you.
Okay. Any other questions? Not, we'll go to the public hearing. If there is anybody from the public that has any questions, concerns, please step forward, state your name, and let us know your concerns or questions. Also, if you're watching on the internet, you can call in on the telephone and voice your concerns or questions. Area code 701-456-7006.
The conference is currently empty. You will hear silence or music on hold when connected.
Anyone from the public have any concerns on the unit development? Please come forward, state your name. If you're watching online, 701-456-7006. Anyone from the public? Seeing no one in the audience has any concerns or questions, no one watching has voiced any comments, I would look for a motion on ordinance 1717.
I'll move to approve ordinance 1717.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Walla,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Hadley, you have a second PUD.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to go over to the map and just show the two different areas. The one. This was the area that we just discussed. This is the other area to the west. This would be a continuation. It's a separate PUD, and it would be ordinance 1718. It was heard at the Planning Commission meeting as well. No opposition on this one either. The Planning Commission and the city and myself would recommend approval of it as written.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Any questions for Mr. Hadley on ordinance 1718? It is the Patterson Lake PUD number 2.
One thing I could add, the reason we're doing the public hearings now on the first reading is because we'll bring the final plat with it that was heard at that same meeting, and so they'll be approved sequentially. The second reading of the PUD, and then the final plat will be right behind it. So that's why we're doing it this way. It works better sometimes for my stuff. So.
Any questions for Mr. Hadley on this process? Not, I'll open up the public hearing. Are there any people with comments, concerns, questions of the Patterson Lake PUD number 2, ordinance 1718? Please come forward, state your name. Let us hear your concerns. If you're online watching, 701-456-7006. Anyone from the public? Are there any concerns on the Patterson Lake PUD number 2? Seeing no one in the audience has any concerns, hearing no one online has voiced any questions or comments, I'll close public hearing. I would look for a motion from the commission on ordinance 1718.
I'd move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sobeluk.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We have about 3 minutes to our next public hearing, so we'll go ahead and get a report in here. And Mr. Winningham, you have a report on the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference.
Mr. President and Commissioners, just want to give a couple highlights. The Williston Basin Petroleum Conference will be attending with some staff members next week in Bismarck. This represents over 200 vendors that are in the oil industry that essentially are looking for ways to revitalize the Bakken area. This gives an opportunity for us to meet some of those individuals and businesses. This is in partnership with Stark Development Corporation, Public Works, and some city staff. We'll have a booth in it for attendance, and the idea is to capture as many of their attentions in those businesses that highlight what a great place the city of Dickinson is for them to bring their business to. The second one is the State of the City 2021, which is innovative luncheon at the new CTE Center. That'll be on the 20th of May. We have 16 seats available, and I just want to offer that for the commissioners to be in attendance. And it is still a work in progress for the final agenda, but it'll be a State of the City, which the staff will provide talking points to the mayor, and then there'll be a panelist group and not just speakers to be able to provide information to the public and to those that are interested in the State of the City and the CTE.
I think we have 1 minute. Can you get the City Hall update in 1 minute?
The City Hall update, I can. We did the 3 May, we completed the construction documents for what is currently a renovation idea, really to get the public space and public entry in the commission in the commission area of the new City Hall completed. That was advertised, so then we have a few dates. We're on the timeline. 12th of May will be the first walkthrough for pre-bids, and then we will have bids, and then we will present to the commission the next step for timeline before we ask for approval of bids. And the timeline is still set for closure, meaning move from our current building and occupy that building for occupancy by 1 October. Still a aggressive timeline, but we are moving forward as rapidly as possible.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Winningham. Any questions for Mr. Winningham on any of his reports?
I have one, Mr. President. Have we had any interest on this building?
That's not ours.
So-
Oh, that's
so-
right,
right,
never
so-
mind, sorry.
But it's a good question, and it's beyond me to talk about it, but we've had showings. So American Bank Center probably has.
So there's activity.
There's
at
activity.
least.
We have,
Yeah,
we
they're
have
coming
had
in, they're
to,
kicking the tires,
we've
you
had to do some showings with the city staff. I've asked them to be very kind and offer how great
I
this
was-
building is so that we can help them sell it, I guess.
I
But,
was asked that today and I completely,
It's a good question.
but now everyone knows.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Winningham? We'll move to our 525. Mr. Hadley, you're getting your walks in, your steps in tonight, so. First, we have a public hearing on a rezone request.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commission. This would be ordinance 1719, and it's a rezoning for a 30-acre parcel. It was also heard at our Planning Commission meeting on April 21st with no opposition. The intent is to create a 6-lot subdivision. Like the previous PUDs, the process for this will be a public hearing on this, and then we'll bring the final plat that was also heard at the Planning Commission meeting at the next reading. With that, the applicant is here. It's northeast of town. It's in a section that has been very busy with ETZ plats. It's in our extraterritorial zone, and should be a pretty nice little development. I don't know if the applicant wants to add anything else, but she has done a marvelous job of organizing her application and in this process.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hadley. Any questions for Mr. Hadley or the applicant? Hearing no questions from the commission or Mr. Hadley or the applicant, this is a public hearing. Ordinance 1719. We'll open up the public hearing. If you have any concerns, comments, please come forward. State your name. If you're watching online, area code 701-456-7006.
The conference is currently empty. You will hear silence or music on hold when connected.
Anyone from the public has any concerns or questions on this rezone? This is ordinance 1719. Any concerns or questions? Seeing no one from the public has any questions, and hearing no one online has any concerns, close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any additional questions on this rezone? Not, I'd look for a motion on ordinance 1719.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
That,
second by Commissioner Soboluk. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Soboluk?
aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hadley. We'll go back to our non-timetable. We'll move into public safety, and the first item up is the fire department monthly report.
Thank you, President Decker and Commission. Tonight I'll be presenting the April report for the fire department. As you are probably aware, it's been a fairly busy month for us with how dry it is outside. So busy that I missed a couple of dates in here, so I apologize for those mistakes. But we did run 62 calls for service in the month of April, not March. That did put us about 264 calls year to date. It's a 34% increase from last year. So we are seeing a significant increase already early on in the year with this early grass season that we're seeing. Here's a breakdown of our April call types. We saw some significant increases in our good intent calls, and the reason for that is a lot of the controlled burning or unauthorized burning or fire pits get called in under that. So we were responding to a lot of neighbors calling in their neighbors for burning during the burn ban. So we did see a significant increase in that, and we're running around chasing a lot of backyard bonfires. And it just took a little education in those times that we were under a burn ban. And that also fell under the service calls, where we were responding to some of those controlled burns that shouldn't be happening during that burn ban. Calls by station, the majority of our calls happened on the south side of town from the freeway down. That's where a lot of our fires were happening. We did have a couple happen on the north side, but the majority of our calls did happen south of town. Our response times, we're still seeing some significant delays when we are responding from the south station to calls up north, just because of that travel distance, and we are seeing some increased traffic that is slowing us down a little bit, but we are falling pretty close to that benchmark for everything south of town. We stayed pretty busy with training, 886 hours completed in April, over several topics. We did a lot of wildland training since we're getting pretty hot and heavy with these grass fires going on. Some officer training. We certified a bunch of instructors this month, and we're finishing up our fire academy that we're doing in conjunction with the high school. That does put us at about 3,100 hours for the year so far. So we're filling our spare time with training. One thing I did want to mention is we are getting a lot of requests from our neighboring agencies asking for help, because a lot of the departments are getting tapped for resources. So I just want to make you guys aware that we are getting requested, and we are helping our neighbors as well as them helping us. So I'd stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chief Prisnell. Any questions?
Mr. President.
Mr. Oderman.
Chief, have we had any fires that have been linked back to backyard fires or anything like that?
We did have one where an individual was burning some weeds that got a little out of control. Honestly, we had 3 this month that stemmed from kids playing with matches.
Okay.
So that's something that we're working on, a little bit of educational material and working with some of these parents to make sure that it's not happening.
Do we still go into the schools and do that? Because I remember when I was in elementary school having the fear of God put into me.
We do
Play
go
with
into
matches and burn the city down.
We are still very active in the schools. We had to make some adjustments last year because of COVID. We went completely virtual, but we still are very active. I was asked last meeting by another commissioner if we still teach stop, drop, and roll, and we do. So, but yeah.
Thank you.
The high school program going into next year, are you looking it's full up?
Yeah, it's getting a little bigger than what we anticipated. I believe the last I heard we're at like 19 high school students. So it's a significant increase from this first one. So it's been a huge success. And I mentioned it before, but we are having a lot of other school districts and departments reach out to us to see how they can get it going. We had Mandan reach out to us. So we are helping some of these other communities try to get this going. It's been a huge success.
Good deal.
Wonderful. That's a good supportive case for a training center.
No, you don't have to tell me. I've been beating that drum. I just got to get everybody to follow. So I think our staff, between public safety and public works, we have a phenomenal staff. their training, with the amount of time they put in, our administrative staff, I mean, the whole city. I mean, we just have a bunch of employees that put their heart and soul into their jobs. And to provide that, putting that training center out there, and that's just one aspect, and allowing our staff to develop programs like this, and they're programs that people want. And I have no doubt in my mind that if we had that facility, it will only grow between police, fire, and public works. We put a driving course in out there. They can do a lot right there. All three agencies can, and we can continue to be that hub, Southwest hub. So, and not only that, I think we can look at, I have mentioned before, there's federal programs looking for places to base out of. So we just, I think we need to take that step forward. So, but thank you, Chief Presnell. Any other questions? Not, we will jump back out here to a timetable, 5:35, public comment. The public comments not on the agenda. If there's anyone that has any comments, please come forward, state your name.
Good evening, Mayor Decker and Commissioners. I have received numerous inquiries from not only citizens in Dickinson, but throughout North Dakota and even out of state about a rumor that is gaining ground at warp speed. I have assured everyone that has spoken with me that this rumor is in fact false, but I think it would be a good idea for the public to hear it from our leaders that Dickinson has not been designated a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants.
Not to our knowledge. I have no idea, Mrs. O'Brien, where I was inundated this weekend by people saying, please put this rumor. I have no idea where it's coming from. I even went online to look. There's no such thing, no designation. I don't know where this starts.
I have an idea. I know where it started.
But all I've been telling the people that call me is, do not believe everything you see on the internet, especially Facebook. Yes. Because just to put another rumor to rest, if you had the COVID shot, yes, you can still give blood. Contrary to popular belief, you can. I actually did that research because I was called about that also. I don't know why they call me. I'm not a health official, but again.
It's because you're mayor, that's
Trust me, I get everything. I was the governor last week too, so I got that call. So it was fun. I should be ashamed of not mandating masks. So,
Mr. President, I did reach out to some county commissioners about this topic, and they assured me that they are on top of this as well. And they've actually visited with individuals at the state level, and they've been informed that nothing will happen without city commission or county commission oversight. And in addition, the local sheriffs are also involved in these decisions as well. So I think we've got the right people in the right positions to make sure that nothing like this happens without proper oversight. So.
The big rumor was that the man camp in Dickinson is going to, and I'd like to find the man camp that's in Dickinson.
Yeah.
For one, we don't have one.
North of town. It's in Dunn County.
Well,
It's in Dunn County.
outside
It's in
of
Dunn
Dick-
County, but it's
outside of Dickinson.
Close, I mean.
I'm just saying.
Probably closer to Manning than it is us, but.
So-
Well, thank you for dispelling that rumor. Thank you.
Yep.
Take some comments because I've received also multiple inquiries. As I understand it, there is no sanctuary city for illegal immigration in the state of North Dakota. There is a sanctuary law or sanctuary on the books for Stark County for the Second Amendment, which was passed in March. So there may be some confusion about the word sanctuary. I think we should educate the public that sanctuary doesn't always just mean illegal immigration. It also has to do with our fundamental constitutional rights, and Stark County came out strongly, and I believe 2 other counties in the state of North Dakota that said they want to be strong advocates of the Second Amendment as a sanctuary area for Second Amendment. Now that I've said that multiple times, hopefully people will get it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any concerns? Wish to come forward. You can also call in if you have any comments. Area code 701-456-7006.
The conference is currently empty. You will hear silence or music on hold when connected.
Anyone else have any public comments? Anyone wish to comment on anything on the agenda or not on the agenda? Seeing no one has any other comments or questions for the City Commission or staff, I'll close the public comments section of our agenda. And we will move to our, if I'm correct, we go to planning. And we have a Renaissance Zone project. And that'll be City County Planner Josephson. Welcome.
Good evening, President Decker, Commissioner Steve Josephson, planner. What you have before you is a request from Don J. Paul for a Renaissance Zone project. He wishes to renovate an existing vacant building located at 341 First Street East, and that's Block 1 in the Renaissance Zone. What Mr. Paul intends to do is he has a business adjacent to it, his liquor store, Ponderosa Liquor, and he intends to take the vacant building and expand it into that location. In terms of eligible Renaissance Zone expenses for the project, it's approximately $400,000. The full value of the property and building is $235,100. The state, for a commercial Renaissance Zone renovation project, the state requires that the cost of the improvements be at least 50% of the full and true value of the property, which the $400 exceeds. Most of the renovation is going to be replacing existing infrastructure, existing electrical, and also just rebuilding that so it can function as part of the liquor store. This did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they recommended approval. And just to let you know, the staff finds this consistent with the city's Renaissance Zone plan and the comprehensive plan. And also, we did run this past the state Renaissance Zone coordinator with the Department of Commerce, who found this consistent with the purpose of the Renaissance Zone program. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have. And this is a five-year exemption. It would hold the property taxes on that property. You know, it would freeze them for a 5-year period of time if approved.
Thank you, Mr. Josephson. This is, if I'm correct, Resolution 13-2021. And this would be Renaissance designation REN-001-21.
Correct.
Any questions for Mr. Josephson on this Renaissance Zone application?
Mr. President.
Mr. Orman.
Mr. Josephson, do we have any type of analysis of what the value, property value improvement will be on this compared to the previous value?
Commissioner Oderman, I did ask Joe Hirschfeld, to provide that. He would believe that given the kind of renovations, it would increase it by about $3,000.
Okay.
Are there any
You're
other?
not going to know that until after all the
Sure.
construction
Yeah.
is done, but that was just an approximate.
Yeah. I was just looking for like a ballpark.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Josephson? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion on Resolution 13-2021.
Mr. President, I would move to approve Resolution -13, 2021.
We have a motion by Commissioner Frederick to approve,
Second.
second by Commissioner Oderman. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. And after the resolution is signed, we will get this to the State Department of Commerce for conditional approval, and then they can start their construction.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Joseph. Next item up is the final plat for the Coda subdivision. This will be handled by Planning Director Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commission. Let's see here. This would be Resolution 14-2021. It's a final plat in the ETZ in the northeast section that we were just in for the zone change. It is actually after the dedications for road right-of-way, it's an 18.66 parcel. The intent is just to build a home on that parcel with a shop. We've heard a final plat just to the west of here within the last year, and the east is where the plat and event center, wedding event center that was approved about a year and a half ago, and they should be starting here soon. It was on our agenda on April 21st as well. There was no one in opposition, and staff and the Planning Commission would recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Any questions for Mr. Hadley on this subdivision? And this is Resolution 14-2021. This resolution does approve the final plat.
Yes.
There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Oderman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Walla. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. And you have a special use permit application from Bronco Brothers, Mr. Hadley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commission. This would be Resolution 15-2021. It's to operate a extraction mining operation, basically, if you will, for the fill soil in the area marked in red on the slide there. It's part of the I-94 interchange project and the business loop project that we have going on. They're going to take out a bunch of material, then reclaim it, bring more material back in from some of the project, and then reclaim it. And they wanted they didn't really want a year, they wanted until next spring, but it's easier to give them a year on one of these to make sure that all of the vegetation is growing and whatnot. It actually, there was no opposition. This was obviously heard at our April 21st meeting as well. No opposition from anyone. There was a question on drainage. I'm sure Ms. Marcia can go into it. They've done a lot of drainage issues and erosion control measures as far as that project. You can just drive down and see something that they do. The good portion for the city of Dickinson, in my opinion, is that when they're done with this property, it actually might behoove someone to actually develop it.
They basically taking that hill out?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
They're taking that hill out?
Yeah, they're taking it down.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And,
It'll be down considerably. Not completely gone, but it'll be down.
and I believe the DOT approved a access point for them too, because right now there was no access to that site, so, off the highway.
Yep. They will be providing an access, yes, sir. Yep.
All right, are there any comments, questions for Mr. Hadley on 15-2021? This is a special use permit for Bronco Brothers. Hearing no questions, I'd look for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Sobeluk,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Soboluk?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mr. Oderman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. That is the, takes us to commission. Item 10, commissioners, are there any items you wish to bring up that weren't on the agenda, or just anything for the public's knowledge? Commission has no items. I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.